Don't forget to check out the exclusive content and tutorials. Links are in the description.
We'd go to the Oval Office and the president.
My fellow Americans.
My fellow Americans. This is going to be really short. I just watched 3 individuals sit and read from a teleprompter. There wasn't that much interesting going on. Obviously, we can tell by Trump's demeanor, he's reading his teleprompter. And by the words that he's using, it sounds like he wrote his own speech. He's sitting very formally in his chair, and he is not relaxed.
Tonight, I am speaking to you because there is a growing humanitarian and security crisis.
And as you see, as he opens his hands, he can't help himself because Trump is a dancer. He likes to wiggle. He does not like closing himself off.
Crisis at our southern border. Every day, Customs and Border Patrol agents encounter.
You see that with his shoulders too, because they keep moving. He's such a wiggler. All right. We're done. Let's get to the other part.
Thousands of illegal immigrants trying to enter our country. We are out of space to hold them, and we have no way to promptly.
Now you see him, he brings his hands out, he gives out that. We have no space to hold them. Talking about how many numbers are coming in. If we didn't know the background, and I would see this, I would see it as a bone of contention with whomever the animosity is coming from to here. But we know the background on it because we know that the Democrats refused to sit through the briefing from border security and what they were going through.
They return them back home to their country. America proudly welcomes millions of lawful immigrants who enrich our society and contribute to our nation. But all Americans are hurt by uncontrolled illegal migration. It strains public resources and drives down jobs and wages. Among those hardest hit are African Americans and Hispanic Americans. Our southern border is a pipeline for vast quantities of illegal drugs, including meth, heroin, cocaine, and fentanyl. Every week, 300 of our citizens are killed by heroin alone, 90% of which floods across from our southern border. More Americans will die from drugs this year than were killed in the entire Vietnam War. In the last 2 years, ICE officers made 266,000 arrests of aliens with criminal records, including those charged or convicted of 100,000 assaults, 30,000 sex crimes, and 4,000 violent killings. Over the years, thousands of Americans have been brutally killed by those who illegally entered our country, and thousands more lives will be lost if we don't act right now. This is a humanitarian crisis, a crisis of the heart and a crisis of the soul. Last month, 20,000 migrant children were illegally brought into the United States, a dramatic increase. These children are used as human pawns by vicious coyotes and ruthless gangs. 1 in 3 women are sexually assaulted on the dangerous trek up through Mexico. Women or children are the...
Up through Mexico, he brings us back. Back goes back. If you were to actually see this where he wasn't trying to control himself, you'd see his shoulders and his arms fling out like an oh my God. Or his rallies where he throws his arms out and his hands are up. Like, hello? That's what it shows me. And you're also hearing as he talks, I think he's got postnasal drip or something. He'd do better if he just breathed through his mouth, which is what he likes to do anyways. Because he cannot handle keeping his mouth closed and talking. That nose just cannot handle all of it. And then, of course, then you see him like he's struggling to breathe as he does this. I guess you pick your ponies. You'd be known as a mouth breather or somebody who just sounds kind of weird and constantly trying to catch their breath.
Biggest victims, by far, of our broken system. This is the tragic reality of illegal immigration on our southern border. This is the cycle of human suffering that I am determined to end. My administration has presented Congress with a detailed proposal to secure the border and stop the criminal gangs, drug smugglers, and human traffickers. It's a tremendous problem. Our proposal was developed by law enforcement professionals and border agents at the Department of Homeland Security. These are the resources they have requested to properly perform their mission and keep America safe. In fact, safer than ever before. The proposal from Homeland Security includes cutting-edge technology for detecting drugs, weapons, illegal contraband, and many other things. We have requested more agents, immigration judges, and bed space to process the sharp rise in unlawful migration fueled by our very strong economy. Our plan also contains an urgent request for humanitarian assistance and medical support. Furthermore, we have asked Congress to close border security loopholes so that illegal immigrant children can be safely and humanely returned back home. Finally, as part of an overall approach to border security, law enforcement professionals have requested $5.7 billion for a physical barrier. At the request of Democrats, it will be a steel barrier rather than a concrete wall. This barrier is absolutely critical to border security. It's also what our professionals at the border want and need. This is just common sense. The border wall would very quickly pay for itself. The cost of illegal drugs exceeds $500 billion a year, vastly more than the $5.7 billion we have requested from Congress. The wall will also be paid for indirectly by the great new trade deal we have made with Mexico. Senator Chuck Schumer, who you will be hearing from later tonight, has repeatedly supported a physical barrier in the past, along with many other Democrats. They changed their mind only after I was elected president. Democrats in Congress have refused to acknowledge the crisis, and they have refused to provide our brave border agents with the tools they desperately need to protect our families and our nation. The federal government remains shut down for one reason, and one reason only, because Democrats will not fund border security. My administration is doing everything in our power to help those impacted by the situation. But the only solution is for Democrats to pass a spending bill that defends our borders and reopens the government. This situation could be solved in a 45-minute meeting. I have invited congressional leadership to the White House tomorrow to get this done. Hopefully, we can rise above partisan politics in order to support national security.
That was a big movement. So he's gone over all the legalities, what's going on, what's happening, what he's done, why he's doing it. The whole time he's a wiggler. His body sings with him. But he's reading the teleprompter at the moment. And then he just settles down like he's about to get into some meat. And what does he do?
Some have suggested a barrier is immoral. Then why do wealthy politicians build walls, fences, and gates around their homes?
He takes a chunk of ass and he swishes it around and he's chewing on it. He's going to throw down some facts that he knows cuts to the quick. Why do you have a wall? And as he goes on, illegal aliens are killing people left and right. In this state, they're killing people. In this state, they're killing people. In this state, it's MS-13. In this state, in this state, in this state. Dozens of people I know that I've met and their kids are dying from illegal aliens. That's the meat. Like a pit bull. Got a hold of some ass and he gonna shred it.
They don't build walls because they hate the people on the outside, but because they love the people on the inside. The only thing that is immoral is the politics.
Then he comes back, pulls his arms back. The only thing that's immoral. The only thing that is immoral. And then brings out the hypocrisy, which is definitely Trump style. I have to say, this is a wonderful way of playing the victim card. This is everything that I've done. This is the reason why the government is shut down. This is the reason why we need border security so badly, including a wall. And then you place down a true victim card. A real victim card isn't as pretty. It comes with facts, not just accusations.
To do nothing and continue to allow more innocent people to be so horribly victimized. America's heart broke the day after Christmas when a young police officer in California was savagely murdered in cold blood by an illegal alien who just came across the border. The life of an American hero was stolen by someone who had no right to be in our country. Day after day, precious lives are cut short by those who have violated our borders. In California, an Air Force veteran was raped, murdered, and beaten to death with a hammer by an illegal alien with a long criminal history. In Georgia, an illegal alien was recently charged with murder for killing, beheading, and dismembering his neighbor. In Maryland, MS-13 gang members who arrived in the United States as unaccompanied minors were arrested and charged last year after viciously stabbing and beating a 16-year-old girl. Over the last several years, I've met with dozens of families whose loved ones were stolen by illegal immigration. I've held the hands of the weeping mothers and embraced the grief-stricken fathers. So sad, so terrible. I will never forget the pain in their eyes, the tremble in their voices, and the sadness gripping their souls. How much more American blood must we shed before Congress does its job? To those who refuse to compromise in the name of border security, I would ask, imagine if it was your child, your husband, or your wife whose life was so cruelly shattered and totally broken. To every member of Congress, pass a bill that ends this crisis. To every citizen, call Congress and tell them to finally, after all of these decades, secure our border. This is a choice between right and wrong, justice and injustice. This is about whether we fulfill our sacred duty to the American citizens we serve. When I took the oath of office, I swore to protect our country, and that is what I will always do. So help me God. Thank you and good night.
I see these two standing here like this, and you know what comes to mind?
Senate Minority Leader
I
Schumer and
appreciate
Speaker
the
Pelosi.
opportunity to speak directly to the American people tonight about how we can end this shutdown and meet the needs of the American people. Sadly, much of what we heard from President Trump throughout this senseless shutdown has been full of misinformation and even malice.
So, comparatively speaking to what a singing body looks like, and what I have pointed out Pelosi so many times in her non-singing body, I have caught her a few times telling the truth, and her body does sing. But right now, she's just stiff as a board. The only thing moving is her neck. That's it. That is not a singing body. Your whole body has to wiggle. Doesn't have to wiggle like at a dance as big as and loud as Trump, but it does have to move.
The president has chosen fear. We want to start with the facts. The fact is, on the very first day of this Congress, House Democrats passed Senate Republican legislation to reopen government and fund smart, effective border security solutions.
We see a positive head movement from Schumer. It's unfortunate because this is a tactic many people use. I'm going to start with facts. The president has started with fear. Okay, so what is the fact to combat the fear? Because the president stated blah, blah, blah died, blah, blah, blah died, blah, blah, blah died, states, opioids, heroin, deaths, coyotes, human trafficking. What have you got to combat that? And then you hear,
but the president is rejecting these bipartisan bills which would reopen government over his obsession with forcing American taxpayers to waste billions of dollars on an expensive and ineffective wall.
I don't hear anything that's a fact that combats what I heard. That's what I hear. This is accusational. Most people today, because thankfully people are starting to wake up, when they hear this, it's kind of like, I don't like this. I'm not quite sure why I don't like it, because I can't articulate what it is, but I don't like it. That is because you were told, I'm going to combat the fear with facts. And then when you start to hear them speak, their facts have nothing to do with the fear that they're telling you came out. It really is like one is playing checkers and the other one's playing chess. The rules state that the bishop can only go on the brown squares. Oh, I just have to jump over you and I win.
A wall he always promised Mexico would pay for.
And then you see some sarcasm in her face. The wall he always promised, her head goes to the side, a little bit of a smirky smile that Mexico would pay for. And you hear it in the voice as well, in that tight-lipped smirk.
The fact is, President Trump has chosen to hold hostage critical services for the health, safety, and well-being of the American people and withhold the paychecks of 800,000 innocent workers across the nation, many of them veterans.
Many of them veterans. I don't remember seeing any of that, so I can't actually tell you if that's a fact or not. I can't say, again, we heard fear, and we're supposed to be hearing the combat of fear, which would logically be those numbers are based off of 19 blah, blah, blah year. This year, the numbers are blah, 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 therefore not a problem. Or numbers for illegals killing citizens is down, blah, blah, blah. Those would be like, oh, okay. So it's not as bad as it was made out to be. Instead, we get, he's holding us hostage. And normal, rational person hears this and they go, holding you hostage, forcing you to protect the people that you're supposed to be protecting. Okay. The other part that you should see is Schumer does not give a head in the positive to any of her facts that she's giving. He only gave one. It was further in the beginning. Now he's just reading the teleprompter for when it's his turn to speak. That one crazy eye.
He promised to keep government shut down for months or years, no matter whom it hurts. That's just plain wrong. The fact is, we all agree we need to secure our borders while honoring our values. We can build the infrastructure and roads at our ports of entry. We can install new technology to scan cars and trucks for drugs coming into our nation. We can hire the personnel we need to facilitate trade and immigration at the border. We can fund more innovation to detect unauthorized crossings.
We can fund, we can look for, we can have tech, fund for tech, find for tech, but no real plan. It's kind of like saying, I need to fund for healthcare. Well, what do you need? We need healthcare. What do you need? Needles? Do you need doctors? Do you need medicine? I mean, what the hell do you need? No real plan. Not spelled out. Broad term goes, oh yeah, I agree with you. But no plan inside. Just money, because money works.
Fact is, the women and children at the border are not a security threat. They are a humanitarian challenge, a challenge that President Trump's own cruel and counterproductive policies have only deepened. And the fact is, President Trump must stop holding the American people hostage, must stop manufacturing a crisis, and must reopen the government. Thank you. Leader Schumer?
Thank you, Speaker Pelosi.
It's so stupid. I'm sorry I had to wait for that. Thank you, Speaker Pelosi. I don't know who wrote this script, but I do kind of like Trump's version better. It doesn't come off as so contrived and anal.
My fellow Americans, we address you tonight for one reason only. The President of the United States, having failed to get Mexico to pay for his ineffective, unnecessary border wall, and unable to convince the Congress or the American people to foot the bill, has shut down the government.
So as we sit there and you hear this, their thing is more this government shutdown, government shutdown, government shutdown. I will say Schumer is a much better portrayal person. Portrayal is not stiffness in the sense of they don't move. They do move, but they move like a pendulum. So if the right side moves, the left side has to move with it in the exact same direction instead of compensating. And that's portrayal. And it's acting. He's just acting. I'm acting like I care. I'm acting like I respect you. I'm acting as if I'm superior. No, I take that back. He is superior, at least in his mind.
American democracy doesn't work that way. We don't govern by temper tantrum. No president should pound the table and demand he gets his way, or else the government shuts down, hurting millions of Americans.
So you see the head down in the movement, in the positive. It's an emphasis, but you don't see the shoulders compensate for the neck movement. That's that portrayal. I would suggest tell the truth to yourself in the mirror and then try to convince yourself of something else and you'll see portrayal. I really don't want to do these two. I think I just explained their tactic And at this moment, I'm very happy to say that the world is waking up to these tactics. If you liked it, leave a like.
If you like the content, please subscribe using this link via specific feeds. You'll be sent notifications to the full-length videos and ones that can't make it to YouTube, and you won't mysteriously be unsubscribed either. There is now a video course available on her website for gold subscribers, where Mandy teaches more about her techniques of deception detection. There's also other content such as the Crime Series, an Interesting Mind series, and monthly podcasts available to both gold and silver subscribers.
If you like it, please share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.